Hey, I'm Josh from Vacuums R Us, and today we're going to be working on a Shark power head that has a condition where the lower hose, the internal hose that's inside of it, is split from going back and forth. This is going to be relevant to you. This is an NV501 very specifically, but any of the NV500 series, so 500, 501, 504, this is going to be identical with all of those. The machines are slightly different colors, but they're put together completely the same. So the issue here is that we have a hose down here, which if you look right down there, you can see there's a crack on the hose. It's difficult to see without the hood open, but if you're looking right down into it, you can see there's a crack there. So if you have a condition with your Shark where you're not able to find any obstructions, but you're not really getting very good performance at the head, the wand is, there's no obstructions in the wand, you've got good suction in the wand, but when you're using your floor cleaning, you're not getting good airflow. You find that your brush is indeed spinning, but you're not picking up. It's likely that you may have a split hose down here. So on this particular machine, this is a very early version of Shark. If you've seen some of my other videos, I have a popular video, Why Can't I Fix My Shark Vacuum Cleaner? I talk about how as time has progressed, they've kind of upped the ante and made it more and more difficult to work on their machines by putting in Torx screws. This machine has Phillips heads, the 501 that I'm working on does. However, there's a lot of other Shark units that have what are called Torx screws, T-O-R-X. You can get a Torx bit set on from a lot of different places for around 15 bucks. Some of them also have security bits, which is a Torx. It's a Torx bit with a hole in the middle of it because there's a pin inside of the screw to make it more difficult for you to be able to repair your own products. This machine has Phillips head, so it's going to be easy, but I'm going to show you where the screws are. I always like to use a magnetic dish because screws have a tendency to disappear. I've got one on the side here. Turn my clutch back up a little bit. One on the other side. I've got two screws in the back. And then underneath this, it looks like customer's probably been into this and turn that around in the wrong direction. Spin that back around where it's supposed to be. There we go. So underneath this, hidden down here in the very center of that, you have a final screw that's hidden right there. So there's two more, there's one in the center over here as well. There's two more screws, and this is very common with Sharks in general. They're hidden under these wheels. So with a flathead screwdriver, you can pop those wheels out. The little wheel shafts are just pressed in there. While you're popping those out, you'll want to check and see, often hair will wrap around these axles right here. You can clean the hair out, put a drop of 3-in-1 oil on there if you choose. So I've got two more screws. A lot of people ask on the Why Can't I Repair My Shark video, they said, oh, what brands do you recommend? Wasn't really my intention in that video to recommend brands. It was just to kind of let people know that there was a problem. Did I miss a screw? Oh, yes, I did. One more right there in the center. But I will say in this video, if you're tired of working on your Shark and repairing your Shark constantly, two brands I can get behind are Sebo and Riccar. So I've got one wire right here. There's a headlight here, and there's a wire that plugs into the PCB over here, which I'm going to pop right out. These two things on the 500 series just fall out. They go on the sides. We'll put those back when we're done, right? So now I have access to the hose. You can readily see that the hose here is cracked. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to rip the hose out of there. The hose is glued in. We're going to glue it back in again when we replace the hose, but the only really way to get it out is to rip it out. So I've got wires that are going down here, and I'm going to try to disturb those as little as possible, because the more wires you take out, the more you have to feed them back into the wire channels, which can be kind of a pain in the butt. So I've got a box cutter here. Any razor blade will work. I like box cutters because the blade is thin and long. So for this purpose, I'm kind of cutting around here to give myself some, and I'm going to unwind so that the hose has a metal wire inside of it, essentially. And I'm just pulling that out and kind of ripping the hose out as we go here, right? And hopefully it'll rip all the plastic out as we go. Sometimes when you take these hoses out, this plastic will shred off and the glue will adhere to the side of the housing, which is kind of a pain. But in this case, we got all of it out. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side to the neck here. You want to be real careful. These wires are pretty sensitive. they're moving back and forth all the time, so it's easy to break them. They may potentially be brittle. So you want to move this thing as little as possible while you're doing this. So we'll go ahead and shred this one out. This one shredded out real clean as well. I'm going to vacuum out my dust. All right, so now I'm going to take some isopropyl alcohol. We all know I love isopropyl alcohol. If you, for some reason, follow this vacuum repair channel, I wonder sometimes if I'm ESMR to some of you guys, because there's no way that you're that interested in vacuum cleaner repair. Is that what it is? ESMR? EDM? I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to clean this out with rubbing alcohol because we're going to be putting an adhesive in here. There's a lot of debris in there. And I like the rubbing alcohol. I've mentioned this before. I like isopropyl alcohol because it's a good cleaning agent. It dissolves debris and it also evaporates very quickly. So we can use, we can use this isopropyl alcohol in here, and then it'll evaporate rapidly, and we don't have to wait for it to dry like we might some other cleaning solutions before we start applying the adhesive. So again, SIBO and Riccar are both products that I can get behind. They're both long lasting. They're both high performing machines. The companies are dedicated to providing repair components and really enabling longevity of those machines. Most vacuum stores that are reputable are going to be a dealer for one or both of those brands. So you'll have repair and service options going forward. If you don't want to do the service yourself, you can bring it to, a dealer and they can take care of it for you. And then you can also acquire a lot of repair components. SIBO's a little more restrictive on repair components to the consumer than Riccar is, but they can be had. The components can certainly be had. They're machines that are also clearly put together to be repaired. If you look at the schematics for both SIBO and Riccar, you'll see that every single last washer, nut, bolt, and screw is available as a separate component. So you don't have to buy massive assemblies that are costly and replace massive parts of the machine simply because one little tiny thing was broken. So I am going to go. This is the hose we're using. I'll put a link to this in the description here. If this video sees a lot of traction, we start getting a lot of sell-through. We've had a bunch of videos we posted. We did not intend to become the #1 seller for that part in the world. And then all of a sudden, everybody looked at the video and started buying our part. We're looking to source a small tube of adhesive to sell with this, which hopefully we will be able to do in the future, because the adhesive is important. So the adhesive I'm using is called Blvd. It's not particularly cheap. The bottle is around 15 bucks or so. And the problem is that it dries out very quickly. Even if it's sealed, even if you store it inside a plastic bag, it will dry out and you're never going to use this much Blvd. So it's pretty wasteful. We use it constantly. So, I mean, we'll run through a container and the last third of it or so will dry up. So for us, that's not an issue. We're going to try to get that adhesive and sell it as in combination with this hose. And I'll put a full list of all the models that are compatible with this hose in the description here at some point. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to, and the adhesive you can use some type of a rubbery adhesive. I think like airplane cement is one of them, but you want something not like super glue, which is going to dry. I gotta close this stuff off, gases like crazy. Something not like super glue. Super glue is going to deteriorate the plastic here, make it brittle, and it doesn't have very much play. The play is important because this hose is going back and forth. There's considerable strain that's placed around the connection points here. So something that remains pliable. I think even a silicone, even pure silicone as an adhesive would probably be adequate in this situation, because we're not looking for extreme adhesion, but we are looking for flexibility over time. We want it to remain flexible. That's important, right? So I would suggest I think I would feel good about using silicone. So I'm going to put a little bit of the adhesive on either. Again, like all my videos, I'm going to screw this in. So you actually screw these in because they're threaded essentially. the connections down there are threaded, and then the hose actually screws in. As in all my videos, do this at your own risk. I'm not liable for any accidents. And I will note for this particular video, if you are using these types of adhesives, that the off-gassing, the chemicals that come out of these adhesives can be quite dangerous. So you'll want to do this with good ventilation. Otherwise, you'll be losing some brain cells. So the next part is I've screwed this in thoroughly. Now I have to screw it in to this side. And that's actually kind of difficult because I'm already screwed in the other side. So now I'm, all right. And it's hard to tell if you're in far enough. It really is. I apply pressure so that I've got pressure on both ends as I'm doing this. And then you can pull on it just a little bit. Yep, pull on it there just a little bit. If you pull on it too hard, you saw it was really gentle. I'm just making sure it's in there. You pull, it'll pop right out, right? That's my point. That's why you'd have glue on it. It'll pop right out, so don't pull too hard. Now I'm gonna push this down. I'm gonna put my wires back in here. They go through this wire channel right here. So there's a slot that goes all the way down to the base. That's where the wires go. I didn't notice I was putting them in the wrong place. So there's a slot here that goes way down, and then there's a slot that's not as deep. This white ring has a slot or has a piece on it so that it slides into this smaller of the two gaps right there. There's only one way you can put it on, actually. Okay, so, oh, and it popped out again. All right, now I am pressing down in there. So this hose is a little bit longer than the original hose. You can see it's tightly pressed together there. You can shorten these hoses. I actually like them tight like this. I feel like a little bit tighter like this, not as loose. There's a little bit more tension when the customer is bringing the head back up and down. However, I feel like there's less tension on the hose and it's less likely to fail again. So I like it kind of long like that. So now, because it's compressed too, is that both ends here, which we were screwing in, you know, it was kind of a pain to get it screwed in. It's pushing up inside of here and pushing up inside of there because it's kind of a spring. So it's not going to fall out. We've got both adhesive. We also have the pressure of the hose pushing up in two different directions. Don't forget, on these models, you have the light on the hood and you have a plug right here, which you need to plug back into your PCB when you're putting it back together. And I'm going to go ahead and, oh, that's right. Remember I said these fall out? These are the side plates. Go in here. Put those back in. Those are also something that can only go in one way. This is one of the easiest sharks really to work on. It's also one of the oldest models. As they've progressed, they become progressively more aggressive at making the machines more difficult and in many cases impossible to repair. I am here to kick a little bit of dirt in their face, and maybe we can keep a couple of machines out of the landfill. You can save a couple of bucks, and when it comes to the point that the machine is truly non-comparable, buy yourself a SIBO or a Riccar. All right, so I've got that puppy put together. I just had my tab fall out right here. Note that. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put the center screw in first to hold things together, tamp it down, make sure my clutch is all the way down. Again, this is an older machine. They don't use the best plastic, so you want to keep your clutch real low so you don't accidentally strip out or break out your pegs, your screw pegs. So we're good, right? Everything's coming in together tight. Over here is tight. Yeah, we're looking good. Great. Put that down. Vacuum out. There's some debris in there. Alright, screw that back down there. This tab fell out somehow or another. Just pressure fit. Those kind of pressure fit in. Okay, alright. I got a couple more screws here to get in real quick. And you'll notice I'm doing kind of a cross pattern like you would tighten down your bolts on a car or something like that. Doing that for the same reason. And then there's the one center screw right here. Okay, And lock that puppy in. All right, so we've got the 2 wheels right here as well. These simply press in. I usually press in one side and then the other. I'll take a flathead screwdriver right here and I'll push in one side. Be careful not to hurt yourself here. And then we'll push the other side in as well. I usually give it a tap like that. And we're just about done here. We're putting one more wheel on the other side and we're going to be finished with our shark lower hose repair. And then we'll give this one right here a little love tap. Okay. And we are good to go. All right, one less shark in the landfill. Hopefully you can keep, you viewers here can keep a couple of your own sharks out of the landfill. And as I said, in the future, let's get this thing running a year or 2 more, save your pennies, and go to your local dealer, talk about a Recaro or a SIBO, and we'll be done with this nonsense in the future.